Are you happy now? Can you please point the gun at something other than me and my family? I'm giving you what you want. We're going to read Heated Rivalry, okay? No need to threaten anybody anymore. It's here. In my 5 years of content creation, there has never been anything requested more than this right here. And that makes me a little bit nervous because I have a history of shitting on the things that y'all love, which is not my fault. It feels like your fault, if I'm being completely honest with you. But I'm also aware that I think most of that is for the show. I think y'all really love the show, which is why we will also be doing it here on YouTube. Now, my plan for that is that I'm going to do 2 episodes at a time, and there's 6 episodes, I believe. I'm going to post what I can post on YouTube without getting demonetized, which, quite frankly, given what I've been told about the show, is not going to be the most. And for that reason, I'm also going to be posting the full versions on Patreon. That way, it's kind of like a win-win. If you don't want to sign up for the Patreon, you don't have to, but it is not going to be all-encompassing because I am tired of YouTube demonetizing my videos. So with that being said, we're going to dive right in. I don't know anything about hockey, and I mean anything. I'm from Texas. We don't have that here. And if we do, somebody else is handling that. I'm not involved. And for that reason, I hope that this is just a really wholesome way to learn about a new sport. History would tell me that I'm going to be wrong about that. But there's only one way to find out. Let's go. I was being for real when I said that I don't know anything about hockey. So first question out the gate. Are these teams real? The Montreal Voyageurs and the Boston Bears. My gut instinct tells me that they can't be real because this is a fiction book, but they're using the term NHL, which I'm pretty sure is a trademarked organization. So my mind tells me, why would you use one trademarked name but not another trademarked name? They're already sleeping together? It's the prologue. The story hasn't even started. There's no, hi, how are you? Literally page 1, I'm reading about sex. I thought this was an enemies to lovers. How do you have the lover part if you never did the enemy section? Okay, in a confusing turn of events, I actually do think that they hate each other. They just use each other for sex. Or maybe hate's not the right word. They're not friends. I keep being bamboozled by these prologues. Everything I've said up until this point has been in the future. So now we are back on the right timeline. It is current present day, and they are 18 years old. I hope they're 18 years old. It still feels young to me, but we're gonna power through. I'm not very far in, but if there's one thing that I would bet my whole life on, it's that Rosanov's a slut. He's just one of those that you see him and you're immediately like, you're too much. You're too handsome, you're too talented, you're too sure of yourself. And you know you're all of those things, which makes it even worse because you lean into it. But I can't actually tell if Shane enjoys it because Rosanov, he's doing his gay advances, right? And in Shane's mind, he's like, I mean, that can't be happening. We can't do that. But Rosanov almost acts in a way where it's like, and? And that's confusing for Shane because Shane understands the consequences of what happens if they were to be caught. And Rosanov just doesn't seem to care. He looks at Shane and he's basically like, you're going to like this pain. And that is an aggressive way to start. I don't think that I ever properly explained what is going on, so I thought I would pause for a minute for anybody that hasn't read this book or seen the series, which would be like maybe 3 people on the planet at this point in time. But you have Shane and Ilya, and when they were young, like 17, 18 years old, they were coming up in the hockey world, and they got drafted to different hockey teams, and because they were like the best in the world, they were always pinned against each other. They play on different teams that are each rivals, and then on those teams, they are the best player and always go against each other. And as is very true in the sports world, there's a ton of homophobia. You know, in very manly circles, the least manly thing that you could do is be feminine. Not my belief system. I'm just talking about like what it's like to be in the sports world. So that's kind of like the stakes of the story, which I really like, is you have these hyper-masculine men in a hyper-masculine industry who are having the butt sex. And you could imagine what would happen if the public found out about that. So it's the definition of forbidden love. And forbidden love stories always have like this grasp on you, you know? But as I alluded to earlier, it kind of feels like Shane is a bit more on edge about people finding out. Ilya is pressing those buttons. He does some things and I'm like, buddy, you're pushing it. So anyways, that's what we got going on, what they got going on. And you know, I just want everybody to be happy. That's all I ever want, and I rarely ever get it. I'm not going to say that this doesn't have a story, because it definitely has a story, but my God, is it a lot of sex. There's a hockey game, they have sex. They have an event afterwards, they have sex. Somebody breathes, they have sex. And it's not just like, oh, fade to black, these two are doing this thing. I know every intricate detail of their sex life. That's what gets me. I don't want that. I'm never in it for the sex, okay? Like a lot of people, I'm in it for the romance. I love the romance, what very little there is. I just don't need to know who's doing what where. And honestly, what gets me a little bit is it's not even like 50 Shades of Grey where they're doing something a little bit outside the normal. They're having like pretty normal sex, which means I can't even call them perverts. I had such a good time calling Christian Grey a pervert. I tried skimming them because I was like, well, if we're just going to keep doing this over and over again, I don't need to know every detail. But the problem with that is that the author keeps throwing in dialogue that advances the plot while they're having sex. We're just stuck in a whirlpool, and round we go. And really, the only silver lining I've been able to find is that I didn't actually need to know how hockey works to read this book.
You're going to look me in the eye and tell me that Shane bought them a building to have sex in? If somebody bought a building with the sole intent to have a place to have sex with me, you would never hear the end of it.
I would become the most insufferable son of a bitch you have ever met. I would run for office, if for no other reason than to have a bigger platform to tell you about it. I don't know what Ilya's doing to him, and I thought I did. I thought I knew every single thing about their sex life, but he's got to be doing a lot more if Shane is going to this extent. How much money did these people make? This is about to be a really backhanded compliment towards this book, but reading it actually gets me really excited to watch the show because I feel like it's quite surface level. There's still plenty of time for more things to happen, but it just doesn't seem like it really dives into the intricacies of these people's lives. And my suspicion is that the show is going to do a better job of showing the intricacies of their family lives. Where Shane's family seems to be extremely supportive and loving, Ilya's family is complete ass, and I hate them. I wish death on everybody. But I want to see those dynamics between the characters and the parents because there seems to be so much more to explore. We're getting like one sentence here and there that it's painting the picture of who the families are, but it doesn't seem to be really diving in. See, look, and that is exactly what I mean. We get a couple pages about Ilya's family and then, oh, another sex scene. I get that they have sex. I'm happy for them. Show me something else.
I don't want to hear a damn word about my blanket, okay? It's cold as shit outside. But I come to you today to tell you that I think that these two have had sex more times than individual words they have said to each other. They don't really talk. They just get together, they have the sex, they go about their day.
See, this is what I mean. Even they're admitting it. What I'm about to play for you is their like first time just hanging out.
Whatever they were to each other, they weren't boyfriends. He knew how to behave around him when they were naked and pressed against each other, and he knew how to play against him on the ice. But just hanging out with their clothes on was uncharted territory.
You know what I normally do with my friends? And get this, even people I've slept with. I hang out around them with my clothes on. Sometimes. We even say words to each other. Ilya's jealous. Shane met some movie star lady and he's been hanging out with her and been pictured with her a couple times. And big, strong Russian man who doesn't like to talk about feelings is having feelings. Which I love and adore it so much because he's such a hypocrite. He bangs 4 to 5 women a week. Every week. I don't think he takes time off. But Shane gets one little, not even a girlfriend, and he can't handle it. Good. I hope it hurts. Shane, buddy, I know that you don't want to be gay, and I wouldn't want to either. Dating men looks like the worst, just the absolute worst. But I know gays when I see gays, and I see gays. You're dating a super hot actress, and you can't stop looking at her male friends. Just accept it. Quick update, he did throw in the towel, and I really like this actress lady, and I hope that we get more of her. In a really fun and loving way, she confronted him about being gay because, I don't think the sex was very good. But he came out to her and they decided to be friends, and I like that. Because it could have taken a really dark turn. Like if she decided to be vindictive or something and tell other people that he's gay, I would have been very angry if that's where this story went. Guys, you're never going to believe it, but I have gotten 4 straight chapters without sex. There's been jokes and actual hockey, and get this, character development. Shane came out as gay to Ilya and outright asked if he wanted to be together, and you can kind of tell that Ilya wants to, but at the same time, he shut it down entirely because he knows that he'd never be able to go home because of the homophobia in Russia. And it's like, it's good. When you write things that are more than just sex, I enjoy it. It's crazy how that works. So this whole time, they haven't been able to be together because like homophobia and stuff, but one NHL player just kissed another NHL player on the mouth. And the reason this is a really big deal is because now Ilya is going, wait, maybe? And so he agreed to go to Shane's cabin with him. They're going to do it. They're going to do it, aren't they? Are they going to date? They're at the cabin together. And this is a really big deal to me because, like, they're talking and stuff. And they're banging, too. They're still doing that. But they're just, like, cuddling on the couch, hanging out. But the thing is, they're kind of talking about their feelings. And they're not saying these words, okay? But I know everything. And what I know is that they love each other. Nothing gets past me. It's too happy.
Yeah, it's too happy. They're gonna take this from me.
Oh, wait, they said it. They said the L word. Yes, I knew it. I knew it. 2 sex scenes in 1 chapter, though. They can't just let a romantic moment happen, can they? It's always going to involve the peen. Everything comes back to the peen. Speaking of the peen and those sex scenes, there is something that I just cannot stay quiet about anymore. This book does something very strange that I've actually never heard before. And I don't get it, because Shane and Ilya will say to each other, with no extra help, we're going to put it that way, with no extra help, they will say to each other, show me how wet you are. And again, they're saying that about the peen. Now, I don't want to harp on this. I've talked about this before in past videos, and it's not really a big deal. I'm not trying to gloat or anything, but I was born with the same hardware that they possess. I have one of these things, which I'm thankful for. But in my 32 years of ownership, there has never been a moment where, of its own accord, I would describe the situation as wet. Now again, stop doing your bean soup theory bullshit where you're trying to find to the loophole and going, well, what if this happened or what if that? No, there is a thing that happens at the very end that, yes, one could use a word to describe such thing. We are nowhere near that moment. And this is the 2nd book in a row where I think a woman has written male anatomy extremely strangely. And I think more than anything, this is just a PSA to any men who might be watching this video who would use that word to describe their tools. I would tell them to see a doctor. Another sex scene. 3 and 15 pages.
Shane's dad caught them.
That sex scene where I was like 3 sex scenes in 20 pages, Shane's dad walked in on them. I can tell. I can tell every single time a story is going to shit. Wait. Okay, it's not going to shit because Shane's dad is good guy, we think. But it forces him to come out to them. With Ilya, who they don't like him. Because Ilya's a bit of a dick on the ice. Fun guy, playboy, fun guy. Asshole, like a little bit. The whole coming out scene is the funniest part of this book, bar none. First off, it starts with Shane getting to the house, and the dad's acting weird, so the mom can tell that something's going on. And Shane just comes right out of the gate and is like, I'm gay, and by the way, this is Ilya. Mom doesn't skip a beat. She doesn't give a shit about the gay thing. She's like, with him? That can't be real. You hate that guy. And then the dad, let me play you this from the dad.
His father stood up. Would anyone like a beer? I could use a beer. Yes, said Ilya. Definitely, said Shane. Is that the strongest thing we have? Asked his mom.
The family dynamics are just fun. This is what I mean. This is what I want more of out of the story, and what I really, really hope this show elaborates on.
It's over. It ended kind of abruptly, in my opinion, but I guess it was a good spot. I'll go over what exactly happened when I do my thoughts on the whole thing.
I've ruminated. And before I get to my overall thoughts of it, the way that this book ended was kind of in retrospect. All of the big things that happened in the last chapter happened in the past, and then we were told that they happened. So Shane came out to his teammates, but he did not tell them that he was with Ilya. And Ilya signed with Ottawa to be closer to Shane because Shane is on a Canadian team. And a little side note about that actually is I would love to see, and I really, really hope the show explores this, but I would love to see his free agency period. So as a sports fan, when you have somebody who is as high profile as Ilya is, when they choose to leave their team and go to another team, I mean, it's on the scale of like LeBron going from the Cleveland Cavaliers to the Miami Heat. There would be a ton of media and speculation and rumors and like all kinds of stuff around that scenario. It's very dramatic. Would love to see the show go into that. So actually, not side note, let's pivot. This is why, in good conscience, I don't think I can give the book higher than a 2.5. 2.5 out of 5. So we're right down the middle. We are 5 out of 10. Do we start bad parts first, good parts first? Good, bad? We'll start good parts first. I really love the individual characters in this story. Shane and Ilya, I mean, they're really only like the main 2 characters. You don't get much of anybody else. I liked the girl that Shane dated. We see her very little. But Shane and Ilya very much stand off of the page. Both of their backgrounds make sense to who they are, and all of their actions are in concurrence with that. That's a very big deal to me, is because when you write a background for somebody and you write their motivations, their actions have to be in line with those motivations and with their upbringing, the things they've experienced. Ilya is very funny and a cocky son of a bitch, but I enjoyed reading just about everything about him. Shane is so much more tempered, which makes their dynamic perfect. And thank God for that, because characters are the most important part of a book. If you hate reading about the characters every time dialogue is happening, you're going to hate that fucking book. But I don't think it was enough to outweigh certain, it's not negative aspects, it's just that there wasn't enough. This book so heavily relies on sex scenes to get to a word count that there isn't a ton of plot. I think at one point when I was doing live reactions, I said like, they have a game, they have sex, they go to an event after they have sex. Like, that's kind of the whole story, is what situation can I put these characters in to where afterwards they can have sex? And the last 30% of the book, when they start to open up to each other and have conversations about their feelings and stuff, but the first 70% relies so heavily on those sex scenes. And that may be what you're looking for. For me, at most, I don't want more than 10% of the book to be sex. Romance, fantastic. I love romance in books, but I see this a lot kind of on TikTok, as people will talk about the idea that there's no more yearning in books anymore, because the whole thing is just sex, 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 sex. The only time we found out that they yearned for each other was, again, in retrospection. After they've slept together for like the 20th time, the book told us like, oh, I wanted to be with you since like the first time I met you. And you're going, I never saw any of that. So maybe that's what I'm saying, is it lacks yearning, it lacks buildup, it lacks a deep dive into characters' lives. I believe we only get one scene with Ilya interacting with his brother. We hear a lot more about his brother, but we don't actually get scenes written showing those dynamics. We don't get any scenes written showing the dynamics between him and his father. And almost everything between Shane and his parents is the most surface level cookie cutter bullshit that could have been given to us. His parents are actual cardboard cutouts. And that is why I'm so much more looking forward to the show, is because I do not believe we are going to get 6 straight episodes of sex. I think that every episode is going to have sex scenes. Absolutely. I don't have any problem with that. But I want the extra time to be spent with the longing gazes and the will they, won't they, and the interactions with the parents and the friends and the girlfriend when he still thinks that he might be straight. I don't know if this is making sense, because the book has these things, but it feels like they were written as this like, oh, check mark, I did that thing. There's no exploration. You know what it is? It's to all the boys I've loved before. I bitched and moaned about Jenny Han's writing because it needs another person to come in and improve it. Sorry. But that was the movies. I love those movies because you got a Hollywood writing room who came together and went, how do you expand on this? How do you dive more into this person's character? How do you make it more dramatic? Where do you remove the fluff? I would bet everything I have that that's going to be this. I'm going to be watching the TV show and go, oh, yeah, these writers just improved on this tenfold. So those are my reasons for 2.5 stars. Next up is the show. We will be watching them on YouTube. They will also have the much longer versions, more uncut versions, over on Patreon. At some point, I do still have to do the Housemaid movie. It has taken so much longer than I thought it was going to come to video on demand. So be looking out for that. And in the meantime, if you have any opportunity to piss off our government, please do so. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you in the next one.